So all your kids are done with school for the summer?
Yep. This is the first week, I think.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any plans for a summer trip this year?
No summer trip this year. We went to Savannah during Christmas break.
Oh, cool.
This past year, so that was kind of a nice big trip. And then my youngest finished up 8th grade, and so he had his Washington D.C. trip during spring break. And then my eldest is going to be a senior in high school, and his French class did a trip to Paris. So I kind of feel like they're well vacationed, so I don't feel too bad about not planning a summer trip. I was like, I haven't been to Paris.
No, I took Latin. So where were they going to send us? You want to go to the Vatican?
The past? Yeah.
Yeah. For some reason, I was just thinking the other day about how I didn't go on the 8th grade trip. Wow. And the only memorable thing from any of my friends that went was my friend Mark got his shoelace stuck in an escalator at one of the museums they went to.
Yeah, that's a terrifying moment.
It sounds very 8th grade boyish.
Yeah.
He was like, I'm not going to stand on those footprints, and stood to the side and found out why you stand on the footprints.
Yeah, I had an escalator destroy a suitcase a couple months ago. And I was like, really? And then I was just trying to be all casual about it. And people behind me were like, oh, that guy just had his fucking suitcase destroyed by an escalator. What an idiot. And I was just like, whatever. I'm just going to walk with my destroyed suitcase to the train thing and go to the other terminal. It's fine. The suitcase was 700 years old, so it was time to get a new one. So it was
one of those situations where you're waiting for something to happen to allow yourself to buy a replacement.
Yeah, it died doing what it loves best, traveling. So
traveling, there you go. Well, David, we're here today to talk about the Code Red worm.
It is not a virus, it's a worm.
And tomorrow, the Code Red worm is expected to cause another round of outages and slowdowns on the internet. What does it mean for you and businesses with computers?
We're joined now by Jim Margolis from thecomputerguru.com with more. And Jim,
Code Red deactivates as soon as you reboot the machine, but of course it could get reinfected. There is a patch available at Microsoft's website that takes Code Red off and prevents that vulnerability from being exploited.
Code Red was a computer worm that was observed for the first time on July 15th, 2001. It attacked computers running Microsoft's IIS web server and was the first large-scale mixed threat attack that successfully attacked enterprise networks. Its widespread impact was largely due to how quickly and efficiently it worked, because IIS was the standard for Windows NT and Windows 2000 at that point. It affected a lot of other systems with web servers, mostly by the way of side effect, which exacerbated the overall impact of the worm and cemented its place in history as one of the many malware outbreaks infecting Windows systems in the 90s and 2000s. I feel like that was also where antivirus really got its teeth into things, the beginning of the end of Norton. So the way that it worked was Code Red infected systems through a buffer overflow vulnerability, which was pretty common at the time. There were buffers for overflow, and once you hit that, it would just execute any code. So they used a huge string of the letter N to overflow a buffer, allowing the worm to execute arbitrary code and infecting the machine. It was first discovered and researched by EI digital security employees Mark Mayfret and
Electronic Eye, right? Yeah, or something when we had the electronic mail come around. That stuff was exciting.
Oh, good call. That was probably right about the same time.
Yeah.
They named it Code Red because they were drinking the Mountain Dew flavor of the same name at the same time. Kenneth D. Eichmann was the first to discover how to block it and was invited to the White House for his discovery. The way the worm presented itself was to deface a website, which basically completely replaces the site's contents. And the screen just said, "Hello, welcome to www.worm.com. Hacked by Chinese." Who knows how true that was? It also ran a protocol based on the day of the month. So the first 19 days were spent looking for other IIS servers to attack. The 8 days after that, it launched DOS attacks on fixed IP addresses, one of which included the White House. So it was pretty cool that the guy got invited to the White House. Full circle. A rewritten version called Code Red 2 hit the internet the next month, but it primarily focused on Chinese servers. This wasn't the first of, the direct attacks on virus or systems, but what was it about this one that just made it stand out aside from the obviously sweet name?
I don't know if this was the first one or maybe the first big one, but the big ones before were you got some email from somebody and it was like, hey, open me up and click a thing inside here and it'll be great.
Yeah.
And then you clicked it and then it wasn't great. And then it just went through your Outlook inbox and emailed your grandma and then she infected all of her friends at the retirement home. And it just kept going around and around.
Prior to this, you had to actually enable an action that did it.
And then this was maybe kind of scarier computer to computer because people really understood even servers, much less a buffer overflow attack and things like that. So it's
obviously,
how is this just happening? Computers talking to computers. And I think it's easier to get your head around the fact that you get an email and if you click a thing, then something happens to your computer. Whereas just servers getting attacked is maybe stranger.
That turned into at a certain point, people of a certain age just stopped opening email attachments. I feel like that started with about us. I feel like people younger than us don't open email attachments from people they don't know.
Yeah, because the first ones were that, and so it kind of got ingrained into your basic internet safety standards. And so then I guess if you're a hacker and wanting to do things, then you gotta go do other things. And the great thing, and the thing is it was always Windows systems for years, and it continues often to be the case. And the reason it often is the case is that many people who choose Windows are government entities, education entities that don't have a lot of money to spend on IT resources who patch things regularly. So Microsoft will have something that happens. They'll be here, patch it. And then 10 years go by and you never patch it at, the hospital or
patches fall off.
And patches fall off or whatever. So then hackers hit those vulnerabilities. And it's not they need to really research them hard. It's Microsoft's website's there's a security vulnerability. Here, fix it. IT administrators and nobody's around at the hospital to fix the thing. So then they get infected.
They're we actually don't have some time for that.
Yeah.
We were at my dad's house a couple of months ago, and he was talking about having a problem with his Norton antivirus. I was yeah, my dad has consistently used Microsoft computers with antivirus software. I don't know if that was something that, I feel back in the day it was Macs can't get viruses. I'm sure that they can, but it was just a lot harder to exploit that.
Definitely seemed to be the case that it was just more potential to do more harm on Windows systems than on Unix-based ones.
To your point, there's a lot of government systems, a lot of healthcare systems, places that need really big networks generally rely on them, which then, once you get one thing in the network, easier to worm your way through the rest. I would love to know what happens once you click on worm.com. What was the point of them creating the worm just to deface the deface?
There's probably some main reasons that people do, computer virus things. Obviously, WannaCry was to make money, to do crime things, and that's often the most. But there's plenty of people that just want attention and fame and want to be talked about on a podcast, 20 years later. So,
We're here
you're
for you.
welcome, Code Red creators. We hope that we've fulfilled your desire to be talked about and be famous in a strange way. There's the white hat type people, or people who think they're doing white hat stuff. Like, I remember somebody just like doing a bunch of simple SQL injection attacks on various education sites to just like be like, hey, and then they would contact them and be like, you need to fix your stuff. Like, there's sensitive like information about children in your databases, and like fix it.
Yeah.
So there's various things. I asked ChatGPT why hackers created the Code Red virus, because I figured ChatGPT would know.
ChatGPT has to know.
Yeah, because that worm's been around, and ChatGPT talks to computers. ChatGPT was a little cagey. Told me that it was malicious intent, but that it's important to note that as an AI language model, I cannot provide specific motivations or intentions of individual hackers or groups.
Okay,
So
ChatGPT.
just need to
infer.
Remember that just a robot. I can't be talking about people's motivations. But yeah, but ChatGPT did say that they might include factors such as personal gain, a desire to cause disruption, a demonstration of technical skills, political activism, or simply desire to challenge security systems. Maybe it was Ken who did it, right? Kenneth Eichmann. He was like, if I do this, I could go to the White House.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll create the problem and then fix it.
I mean, I feel like we see it like the most prominent ways you see it. You see like anonymous hacking things, and I'm trying to think of other. I don't know. I guess I haven't thought a lot about the implications of like white hat hacking. I'm sure. I wonder if anyone's ever made a white hat virus.
In my Code Red researching, I discovered that 2 people made worms to fix the Code Red worm. So
really?
it was like it's like our COVID vaccines, basically. Here's a virus to fix a virus or whatever.
Yeah.
So
that's interesting. Were they successful?
I mean, according to this article from 2001, one of them was called Code Green, creatively titled there. And CR Clean, and then they came with their own warnings, similar to ChatGPT warnings, saying we're a worm and use at your own risk.
I wonder if you'd be more or less likely to instigate that worm if you knew you had been hacked by another worm. Would you be a little bit leery of it?
Well, and then it did the same thing. So it would go and look for it would look for infected Code Red machines and then be like, hey, do you want to clean up with this?
Oh, that's crazy. So it kind of would just run the same vulnerability to see who else had been exploited by it and say, do you want me to exploit you in a better way?
Yeah.
Do you want me to be nice about this?
Would you like me to be aggressively helpful and fix your computer with kind of your consent?
Yes, aggressively helpful. I wonder if there would ever be a time when like things become unhackable, or do you think that that's just part of like technological innovation is like the instant somebody finds something new, somebody else will find a new way to exploit it?
Yeah, I think as long as people want to, do the things that ChatGPT, told me are motivations after saying that they couldn't tell me motivations, it's going to be a case. I mean, the internet was built to
motivations. They are there.
Yeah, I mean, the internet was made to share information. It wasn't made to safeguard information. So, like, the security has come second, and because it's always been about sharing information and innovation, and that's you're not worried about how people are going to exploit your innovation when you're innovating. So I think that's always going to be a concern. You can I think once the apocalypse comes and the internet's down and we're all back to paper and not using computers, then it'll be hard.
Yeah.
I always my in-laws have a box of note cards with all their passwords, and it's like the most secure way to store your passwords.
Yeah.
Because like hackers cannot get into your box O passwords.
Yeah. My mother-in-law carries hers around in a little book. It's like in her purse.
Yeah. I mean, I guess now people who are listening to this are going to go to my in-laws' house and like steal their passwords. So that was probably a mistake. Sorry,
We're just giving them
sorry,
two
Dottie.
options.
Sorry, Ozzy.
Yeah. Sorry, Crystal. Man, we're exposing their vulnerabilities right now.
They need to put the box in another box or put the box in a safe now. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever? You don't have to answer this because if you've done something illegal, we don't want to put you on the spot. Have you ever done any like white hat sort of like exploring vulnerabilities in systems? Or have you, is it like something that you've been interested in as part of like doing development, doing like security stuff?
I think like the only thing I've ever tried is like a simple like SQL injection type thing. And it might have been somewhere where I work, but like it's never been that interesting to me. When I worked at a fintech company, we worked with a third party company that did that employed white hat hackers, and so we would give them access to our system as if they were a customer, and then they would do pen test hacking attempts, and then if they found something, depending on the severity of the vulnerability that they found, they would get a bounty somewhere between like a couple $100 to like thousands of dollars.
Man, all right.
So yeah, it's like it's an industry unto itself, and it's a specific skill set and profession. You can find all sorts of Udemy courses or Coursera or on white hat hacking.
I was in Vegas for a friend's bachelor party, and the bachelor party happened to be at the same time as the white hat convention was happening at the hotel we were all staying at. And this friend whose bachelor party it was the person who like got me into software. So like one of the guys who was there just didn't do like any of the bachelor party stuff during the day. He just went to the white hat convention. I was like, I admire that. Like, all right. He'd do it all day with a hangover.
Yeah, one of the people I worked with at the finance company was really into white hat hacking and also I think not white hat hacking and went to like a conference where people don't use their real names and stuff and like aren't allowed to post on social media and.
Okay, so to touch on the other point, this part has nothing to do with hacking. The code red. So you had said, I think you said it was the second flavor of Mountain Dew. And you were correct.
Was that right? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. It was like I feel like it was a big moment in software, or not software, soft drink history.
Software, soft drink. Yeah, so it came out in 2001. So that was the same year that Code Red happened. So they were like brand new on the scene. Today there are 32 flavors of Mountain Dew.
Wow. That is a lot of Mountain Dew.
I had an incident in like probably middle school, early high school. My mom was like a single mom and was kind of just like, grab whatever you want for breakfast. I don't care. And I remember one day like going to catch the bus and grabbing cookies and Mountain Dew. And that was like the end of my relationship with sugar and with Mountain Dew.
That's a good breakfast. It's going to get you through the day.
Yeah.
Or at least the first hour of the day.
At least for the bus ride.
Yeah, I got lunch the other day, and there was one of those Pepsi Freestyle machines with, I think, even additional options. I just sent you the photo. I meant to send it to you sooner. cherry, vanilla, strawberry, lemon, but Mountain Dew. Like this wasn't even like Baja Blast stuff. This was just like let's throw some fruit things in your Mountain Dew.
Vanilla Mountain Dew.
Yeah, I mean,
You can try up to 3 flavors. So, which 3 did you put in your Mountain Dew?
I was scared and I just got a Pepsi with cherry in it. I couldn't do it.
Can't go wrong.
I should have. Yeah,
Pepsi.
I'm not like a method actor preparer for podcasts. I didn't go return to my Mountain Dew drinking roots to get into this. No, there's been no Mountain Dew consumed since you told me about this podcast.
We did see there are a lot of antique shops out here. And we were in one and we saw the sign that looked like a repop sign. It was like perfect. And it was a vintage Mountain Dew sign that was selling for $1,800. Apparently there's a deal with like the original Mountain Dew guy. If you can find a sign with the original Mountain Dew man, they're worth a ton of money. Yeah.
I didn't know Mountain Dew had an old mascot. Like there was a mascot of is it some mountain climber on a dewy slope or something?
No, it's a little bit more redneck than that. He's got like a straw hat. It was invented in Tennessee.
Okay.
To
oh wow, yeah, that doesn't age well. That's pretty bad.
No, it doesn't.
Oh yeah, it has an inappropriate name too. I'm not even going to say that.
Right. Yep.
Okay.
I was like, we'll leave that for somebody else to research. You can do that on your own.
Yeah. NSFW.
Man, what else was popular? What other popular drinks during that time could have been consumed?
I was thinking with the probably racist, xenophobic name of the that they put in with the hacked by Chinese stuff. Like, I think it would have been more fun if they had said hacked by Canadians, and then they could have named it Clearly Canadian after that drink, and it would have just been a much better fit.
Oh, I loved Clearly Canadian.
Clearly Canadian was like the treat. Oh yeah, it was always the treat because it was like somehow like hard to get or more expensive in the glass bottles. It was just like this is like high class software or soft drink right here. This is the best.
Yes, high class.
And there's probably nothing Canadian about Clearly Canadian.
No, just like Texas Pete's is not made in Texas. They're going through a lawsuit. Do you remember Surge? It was another kind of like lemon lime soda, Mountain Dew-ish, but
Mountain Dew-esque.
It was like extra caffeine. It was like more caffeine than Mountain Dew.
Yeah, the energy drinks is just wild now. But people don't even. The esports crowd is not drinking Mountain Dew anymore. They're onto much more powerful things. Of all the drinks, like if we go into like alcoholic drinks, Four Loko, always a great one. Zima, always is good,
Putting like a Jolly Rancher in a Zima.
I feel like Zima was ahead of its time. Like, I feel like the Zima people are like looking at all this like hard seltzer stuff and they're like, that was us. Like, why did people get it? Yeah.
I don't know if they still do it, but up until a few years ago, like I think Coors had purchased the Zima name, and you could go on the Coors tour in Golden and get Zima at the little like bar thing afterwards. It wasn't good. I obviously tried it.
Still not good. Sorry, Zima creator.
Sorry, Zima.
It
might have been the original, but now that we've covered it all, we've covered the worm, we've covered the Code Red. Any last thoughts on this particular worm?
Not on this particular worm, or any other worms.
Or any other worms. Garden worms.
Garden worms. Yeah, just if you discover a worm, just try to be creative. Remember that the name might last a long time.
Make sure you're drinking something amazing. There are millions of craft beers with absurd names out there.
If you discover how to stop some kind of computer virus or worm, you could hang out with Joe Biden and then spend an hour trying to explain computer things to an octogenarian.
Yes. So, try to explain overflow vulnerabilities.
Yeah.
Using a glass of Code Red Mountain Dew.
Which is Joe Biden's favorite drink, actually.
Is it?
Our president loves Code Red.
It's in his Twitter bio.
Yeah, don't fact check that.
Thanks for listening to the Frontier Podcast powered by Gun.io. We drop 2 episodes per week, so if you like this episode, be sure to subscribe on your platform of choice and come hang out with us again next week and bring all your internet friends. If you have questions or recommendations, just shoot us a Twitter DM at The Frontier Pod, and we'll see you next week.